This program is supported by Bank of Commerce, an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation. We think customers.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching Eagle News International. Hello, CJ.
Hello, Alma, and good evening to everyone joining the broadcast tonight. Here are the headlines.
Nesty Petesio formally took the silver medal in the women's featherweight boxing event of the Tokyo Olympics after bowing to Japan's Sana Airi in the championship match today at the Kokugikan Arena.
A total of 13.1 billion pesos worth of cash assistance that will be distributed around 10.7 million Metro Manila residents will be sourced from the savings of all government agencies.
A roaring blaze raced towards a Turkish thermal power plant as wildfires kill 8 people and is still raging on for a 7th day.
And a missing Belarusian activist has been found hanged in a park in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev.
First, President Duterte today thanked U.S. President Joe Biden and the American people for donating COVID-19 vaccines to the Philippines. The president made the remark as he is set to personally welcome the arrival, of 3 million doses of Moderna donated by the U.S. government. Take a look.
A few days from now, I'm going to go to the not forgetting us.
The Philippines has so far received 34,275,740 doses of COVID-19 vaccines and administered a total of 20,863,544 doses. Last month, the U.S. donated a total of 3,240,851 shot Johnson & Johnson vaccines to the Philippines through the COVID-19 Vaccines Global Access or COVAX facility, a global initiative to support the equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines. The U.S. government has donated at least 13.2 million COVID vaccines to the Philippines, including 10 million doses through COVAX facility, according to the records from the U.S. Embassy in Manila.
Palace spokesman Harry Roque Jr. directed heads of households in Metro Manila to declare a family lockdown to help curb the spread of the highly infectious Delta variant. Metro Manila, which is currently under a week-long general community quarantine with heightened and additional restrictions until August 5, is scheduled to shift to the strictest ECQ on August 6 to 20 to prevent the spread of the Delta COVID-19 variant. The Department of Health said the total number of COVID-19 cases in the Philippines has breached 1.6 million. Take a look.
Mga kaibigan, ngayon pa lang homeliners na po tayo, no? Kung hindi kinakailangan lumabas ng tahanan, huwag nang lumabas. Alam niyo, may magandang nasabi sa akin si Acting Mayor Rama ng Cebu City. The best way po to implement what we want to achieve is for the head of the family to declare family lockdown. Kada pamilya na po, kung hindi kinakailangan lumabas, yung pinuno ng pamilya, tatay, nanay, lolo, lola, tiyo, mag-order. Walang lalabas unless bibili ng pagkain o gamot. Kung hindi kinakailangan, lahat manatili sa tahanan. Alam niyo po, wag na tayong mag-rely pa sa mga ECQ. Family lockdown ang solusyon po dito. Nananawagan po ako sa lahat ng hepe ng mga pamilya, hindi ko naman po masabing padre dahil marami po tayong OFWs, na marami rin mga madre de pamilya, mga lolo de pamilya, no? Family heads, mag-declare na po kayo ng household lockdown. Huwag nyo nang palabasin ang inyong mga mahal sa buhay dahil baka mamatay pa yan dahil sa Delta variant. By order of the head of the family.
In China, authorities in Wuhan said they would test the entire population for COVID-19 after the central Chinese city where the coronavirus emerged reported its first local infections in more than a year. Authorities announced on Monday that 7 locally transmitted infections had been found among migrant workers in the city, breaking a year-long streak without domestic cases after Wuhan squashed an initial outbreak with an unprecedented lockdown in early 2020. And the holiday destination of Zhangjiajie in central China's Hunan province also abruptly announced today that no one would be allowed to exit the city after closing tourist attractions and encouraging visitors to leave last week. Major cities, including the capital Beijing, have now tested millions of residents while cordoning off residential compounds and placing close contacts under quarantine. China reported 61 domestic cases on Tuesday, and photos from Wuhan on Monday showed supermarket shelves stripped bare by shoppers apparently stocking up in preparation for being locked back down in scenes reminiscent of the panic buying before the city was cut off from the rest of the world for 76 days last year in the first lockdown. China is battling its largest coronavirus outbreak in months, confining the residents of entire cities to their homes, cutting transport links, and rolling out mass testing as the fast-spreading Delta variant challenges its zero COVID strategy and homegrown vaccines.
In other news, the United States hit President Joe Biden's goal of administering at least 1 dose of a COVID vaccine to 70% of adults almost a month late as the latest wave pushed hospitalization to its levels seen last summer. Biden's administration had initially targeted Independence Day on July 4 to reach the goal and declare victory over the worst of the pandemic. But falling vaccination rates, particularly in politically conservative regions in the South and Midwest, and among younger people, those with lower income and racial minorities, meant the objective was missed. While 60.6% of eligible adults and 49.7% of the total population are now fully vaccinated, the United States has fallen behind its northern neighbor, Canada, which started its immunization campaign later, but has now fully vaccinated 59%. It comes as America is battered by a new wave driven by the hyper-contagious Delta variant, which has sent national daily cases soaring to beyond 70,000, according to data that excludes unreliable weekend numbers. Across the country, hospitals are seeing on average more than 6,200 daily COVID admissions, while more than 300 people are dying every day. Take a look.
There are still about 90 million eligible Americans who are unvaccinated, and we need them to do their part, roll up their sleeves and get vaccinated. Each and every shot matters. At the President's direction, the Department of Defense is looking into how and when they will add COVID-19 vaccination to the list of required vaccinations for the military. Any federal employee who does not attest or is not vaccinated will be required to mask no matter where they work, get tested once or twice a week, socially distance, and generally will not be allowed to travel for work. We're taking steps to apply similar standards to all federal contractors. It's simple. If you want to do business with the federal government, get your workers vaccinated.
In the United Kingdom, families and friends separated by months of COVID restrictions on international travel met in emotional and tearful reunions after changes to the rules meant many would no longer have to quarantine upon arrival in the UK. Here's Ashley Espiritu joining us live for this report. Ashley.
Hello, Alma. Thank you. Families wept as they were reunited at London's Heathrow Airport on Monday, with fully vaccinated passengers arriving in England from the US and EU no longer required to quarantine. Tight controls on foreign travel have been in place in Britain for over a year, leaving families separated during the coronavirus pandemic. But restrictions in England and Scotland eased on Monday, leading to emotional scenes at Heathrow, Britain's busiest hub. Michael Blake, 71, waited with his wife Sue to see their son Elliot, an 8-year-old grandson, for the first time in 18 months. Sue told AFP that we're feeling very excited, almost overexcited. It's been such a big chunk of our grandson's life that he hasn't seen any grandparents. Sue waited for the 6:20 a.m. flight from New York. On site for her son, Sue ducked under the barrier at arrivals and embraced her grandson with wiping her tears from her eyes. Her family were one of the first to take advantage of the new policy, which came into force in England and Scotland from 4 a.m. Let's listen in.
What I would like to do, the first thing is go outside and take off my mask because I need to breathe after so many hours of wearing it. But
it's just going to be family, and we're going to do outdoor activities with the little boy.
Yeah, just
Second home, isn't it?
yeah. So just so happy, yeah, that we can all sort of get together again.
Excited. Yeah. We haven't slept. I probably slept 1 hour last night, so we've been kind of waiting for her, getting everything ready, and it's been really exciting days for us. So we're looking forward to a lovely week.
Under the new rules, people fully jabbed with a vaccine approved by the US Food and Drug Administration or the European Medicines Agency can travel from any country on the British government's amber traffic light list without having to self-isolate at home for 10 days. They still need to do a pre-departure test and take another test on day 2 after arriving. Back to you, Alma.
All right, thank you very much, Ashley, for that report. You do take care and stay safe.
Thank you so much, Alma. I'm Ashley Spiritu reporting from London, United Kingdom, and we live in interesting times.
A total of 13.1 billion pesos worth of cash assistance that will be distributed to around 10.7 million Metro Manila residents will be sourced from the savings of all government agencies, that according to Malacanang yesterday or today. This after President Duterte approved yesterday the granting of financial aid to individuals affected by the implementation of the most restrictive enhanced community quarantine in Metro Manila. Let's listen in.
Now, isa na naman pong, hindi ko po alam kung mabuti, at least assurance po na bagamat napakahirap po ng lockdown, ang gobyerno naman po ay magbibigay po ng kahit papanong tulong pinansyal. Now, kinumpirma ko na po na ang halaga ay 1,000 per person at 4,000 maximum per family. Saan po kukunin? Well, ito po'y kukunin sa savings ng lahat ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno. Kung gagamitin natin para sa 10.7 million residents na makakatanggap ng ayuda sa Metro Manila ay sumatotal 13.1 billion pesos.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said qualified beneficiaries residing in Metro Manila will receive 1,000 pesos per person or a maximum of 4,000 pesos per family. Here or there will be longer curfew hours and stricter border control across Metro Manila during the 2-week implementation of ECQ. Metro Manila mayors have agreed to impose a uniform 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew hours. Quarantine pass will also be issued to ensure the public's access to essential goods and unhampered service of health workers and other essential personnel. The Department of Health on Monday warned that COVID-19 cases in Metro Manila could swell up to 15,000 daily if ECQ will not be implemented.
Consul General Joselito A. Jimeno called on the state of Hawaii Governor David Ige on July 29, where he expressed the Philippine government's appreciation for the state of Hawaii's decision to include the Philippines in its Safe Travels program as a trusted testing partner. Now, this allows Philippine Airlines or PAL passengers traveling from Manila to Honolulu to bypass the state's mandatory 10-day quarantine as long as they are able to present a negative PCR PCR test taken at a PAL-accredited laboratory 72 hours before departure from the Philippines. Governor Ige, in his reply, said that the state looks forward to restarting and increasing international travel with the Philippines on a more robust and regular basis, cognizant of the large Filipino community, which calls Hawaii home. Consul General Jimeno also informed the governor that the Filipino community through FICOM Cares has been very proactive in supporting the state's efforts to increase the vaccination rate. The Consul General also said that the consulate also has been supportive of the community's efforts through regular reminders via radio and other media partners to avail of vaccination and continue adhering to recommended health protocols. Governor Ige expressed appreciation for the community's endeavors, noting that people-to-people links are sometimes more effective in getting the message across and convincing people to be vaccinated, adding that the government will focus on increasing the vaccination rate and reminders on remaining vigilant and taking the necessary precautions to prevent the spread of the virus, particularly as these measures will be even more important to ensure a healthy and safe environment for in-person learning as the new school year starts on August 3. PAL officials, including President Gilbert Santa Maria, North America Regional Head Brian Lim, and Honolulu Area Manager Soledad Solieza, and consulate officials, Consul Grace Angie Bulos and Protocol Officer Joel Bulos, joined Consul General Jimeno during the call. Also present during the call was Hawaii Department of Transportation Director Jade Butay.
U.S. President Joe Biden yesterday urged the imposition of a new ban on evictions to prevent a wave of homelessness as the more infectious Delta variant of coronavirus takes hold. The United States is on the verge of a massive wave of housing instability after the federal ban on rental evictions expired over the weekend. The nationwide ban was intended to extend until September, but a recent Supreme Court ruling meant it had to end early unless renewed by Congress. The president also called on state and local authorities to extend or put in place evictions moratoria for at least the next 2 months, joining a handful that have already put restrictions or protections in place. Biden also urged state and local governments to quickly send out the billions in emergency aid provided to help renters stay in their homes. Let's take a listen.
The president has not given up the option of legal action. He has asked his team to look to kick the tires, just to keep the analogy going, and look at every authority, every option we have to keep more people in their homes.
I would say that on this particular issue, the president's not only kicked the tires, he has double, triple, quadruple checked. He has asked the CDC to look at whether you could even do targeted eviction moratorium that just went to the counties that have higher rates, and they as well have been unable to find the legal authority for even new targeted eviction moratoriums.
And Eagle News will be right back. Stay tuned.
This portion is brought to you by North Luzon Express Terminal.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced, eagle news, because we live in interesting times.
Welcome back. A roaring blaze racing toward a Turkish thermal power plant, and farmers herded panicked cattle toward the sea as wildfires that have killed 8 people raged on for a 7th day. Frightened tourists have been forced to scamper onto boats for safety, and dozens of villages have also been evacuated as wild winds and soaring heat spread the flames. Temperature in excess of 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit across the south of Turkey also set off a record surge in electricity use that caused power outages Monday in cities such as Ankara and Istanbul. Turkey's energy ministry blamed the outages on drought-like conditions that have emptied dams responsible for hydropower production and a record level in electricity use in the heat. But the mayor of the Aegean coast city of Milas said he was more worried about what might happen should an uncontrolled fire raising massive plumes of smoke over the region engulf the local thermal power plant. Milas Mayor Mohamed Tokat posted an increasingly urgent series of messages on Twitter earlier showing the blazes spreading up a hill toward the presumed location of the plant.
In other news, bootleg fire in Oregon, which was ignited by lightning in early July, has grown to more than 400,000 acres, now appears to be mostly contained, according to the New York Times, after recent weather conditions helped firefighters gain the upper hand on the blaze. Take a look. Officials said the fire was 84% contained by Monday afternoon, up from 56% containment a day earlier. Firefighters also made progress battling the Dixie Fire in Northern California, the state's largest wildfire this year. Officials said the blaze has consumed at least 244,000 acres with 33% containment. Fire officials said that in a statement on Sunday. Full containment was expected by August 13th.
In other news, at least 16 people have been killed and 250,000 people displaced from their homes after heavy monsoon rains lashed eastern India, according to officials today, as the Air Force also are now joining the rescue efforts. The latest deaths in West Bengal came a few days after 11 people were also killed in the state as the torrent of water swept away homes and triggered landslides. 2 riverbanks were breached and flooding affected at least 500,000 people in 6 districts in West Bengal over the past 2 days, according to the state's disaster management minister Javed Ahmed Khan. 5 of the 16 people killed were swept away in the flood, and the rest died when their mud houses collapsed. Dozens of people were plucked from the rooftop of a submerged building with military helicopters, including a 100-year-old woman and a 9-month-old baby, according to Khan. Flooding and landslides are common during India's treacherous monsoon season from June to September and causes widespread devastation. Experts say the annual downpours have been worsened by climate change.
In other news, the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, launches a formal investigation after a Belarusian athlete being sheltered in Poland's embassy in Tokyo was offered safe passage to Warsaw over fears for her safety. Sprinter Kristina Simanouskaya claims her team attempted to force her onto a plane after she criticized her coaches. Take a look.
As I said, we have asked for and we expect a report today. We have launched a formal investigation today. these things do take time, and we do have to hear people. It would be unwise, as you know, there are all sorts of issues and rumours floating around, and we need to get to the bottom of it. We need to hear everybody involved. How long that will take, I don't know, but we've asked the report today, and we've launched an investigation today, so we will see. We spoke yesterday twice to Kristina Simonouskaya. We spoke to her twice. She reassured us once again she's feeling safe and secure.
Poland on Monday granted a humanitarian visa to the Belarusian athlete who says her team's officials tried to forcibly send her back to her authoritarian homeland from the Olympic Games in Japan. A virtual unknown until the weekend, the 24-year-old finds herself at the center of a major scandal after criticizing the Belarusian Athletics Federation for entering her into a relay race in Tokyo without giving her notice. Shimanouskaya, or her treatment, recalled the Soviet practice of forcing disloyal athletes home and quickly sparked political uproar. Shimanouskaya said she feared Belarus was no longer safe for her, and several countries, including Poland, offered to host her. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki slammed the criminal attempt to kidnap the athlete. Polish Deputy Foreign Minister Marcin Przydacz said that Warsaw has granted her a humanitarian visa. Belarus strongman Alexander Lukashenko has been cracking down on any form of dissent since mass protests erupted after elections last year deemed unfair by the West. Shimanouskaya was one of more than 2,000 Belarusian sports figures who signed an open letter calling for new elections and for political prisoners to be freed.
Meanwhile, a missing Belarusian activist has been found hanged in a park in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, according to police today, adding they had opened a murder probe. Shishov headed the Belarusian House in Ukraine, an NGO helping his compatriots flee repression in Belarus. Now, police said they had opened a murder probe and would pursue all leads, including a possible murder disguised as a suicide. The activist went jogging in Kiev on Monday morning, but didn't return and could not be reached on his mobile phone. Friends of Shishov said he had been followed by strangers while jogging recently. Human rights organization Vyasna has said on Telegram. Belarus strongman Alexander Lukashenko has been cracking down on any form of dissent since mass protests erupted after last year's elections, deemed unfair by the West. Now, many Belarusians have fled, often to neighboring Ukraine, Poland, and Lithuania.
More than 100 protesters have been charged under Thailand's royal insult laws since last July, when rallies across the kingdom began demanding reforms to an unassailable monarchy. A lawyer representing the activists and an AFP tally showed on Tuesday. 110 protesters have been charged under lèse majesté laws for their role in the movement, which called for Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha to step down, a rewrite to the military scripted constitution, and for royal reforms, and at their peak drew thousands or tens of thousands to the streets. Prominent leader Parit Chiwarak, better known as Penguin, holds the record of some 20 charges, while at least 8 other protesters, all under 18, are also facing charges. If found guilty, they face sentences of 3 to 15 years in jail per charge. The use of the law had slowed prior to 2020, which Prayut has said was due to the mercy of the king. Colloquially referred to as 112 for its section number in the Penal Code, it is intended to protect Thailand's ultra-powerful royal family from defamation. But critics have long said it has been broadly used to stifle criticism and target political opponents, and its abolition was one of the key demands of the youth movement. Eagle News will be back with more stories. Please don't go away.
Bank of Commerce. What we are is personal banking, where we understand that every deposit is your hard-earned money. Every loan is for good reason. Every service aids in your convenience. Every business of ours is meant to grow yours. We hear you, feel you, and we act on your every banking need. Bank of Commerce, an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon, gabay natin ang MTRCB ratings sa matalino at responsableng panonood. Sa tamang pagsunod sa MTRCB ratings, ginagawa nating ligtas at makabuluhan ang panonood ng bawat miyembro ng pamilyang Pilipino. Lumipas man ang panahon, hanggang may pamilyang Pilipino, andyan ang MTRCB.
Malalayong lugar ang kanilang narating para maghanap buhay. Tulungan ang pamilyang iniwan sa sariling bayan. Yan ang ating mga overseas Filipino worker. Pero dahil sa di pangkaraniwang pangyayaring hatid ay krisis, may ilan sa kanilang nagpasyang umuwi. Pinagyaman ang sariling lupain, nagtayo ng negosyo na kasama sa puhunan ang sipag at tiyaga. Ang mga OFW, maraming sakripisyo, ninanais maging kapaki-pakinabang maging sa kanilang pagbabalik bansa. Sapagkat ang ating mga bagong bayani, Pilipino pa rin sa puso at damdamin.
Asian markets were mixed today, and oil extended losses as the impact of the fast-spreading Delta coronavirus variant on the global recovery fueled concerns the outlook might not be as rosy as initially hoped. While corporate earnings continue to impress, trader optimism has taken a knock after a series of below-forecast readings from the world's biggest economies, including crucial growth drivers, the United States and China. At the same time, long-running fears that inflation could spike for months to come is fanning talk that central banks will be forced to taper their ultra-loose monetary policies to prevent prices spiraling, taking away a major pillar of the more than year-long rally in equity markets. News that Hong Kong was to ease travel restrictions, which could provide a boost to the fragile economy, was unable to stop the city's Hang Seng Index from suffering another drop. Tokyo, Shanghai, Singapore, Seoul, and Wellington also dipped.
Meanwhile, Australian airline Qantas announced it will furlough 2,500 workers as coronavirus outbreaks and regional lockdowns pummel demand for flights. Pilots, cabin crew, and airport workers from Qantas and its low-cost affiliate Jetstar will be sent home without pay from mid-August from an estimated 2 months, the firm said. Qantas said the airline had gone from operating almost 100% of its usual domestic flying capacity in May to less than 40% in July due to coronavirus restrictions. Most of the affected staff are based in New South Wales, a state that is largely cut off from the rest of the country and the world by travel restrictions. A lockdown in the country's largest city, Sydney, is now in its 6th week and is likely to last for at least another month. Qantas and Jetstar have already stood down thousands of international aircrew since early 2020, with Australia's borders remaining closed to most overseas travelers.
Meanwhile, France's pharmaceutical giant Sanofi, which has lagged behind rivals in developing new generation mRNA COVID-19 vaccines, today said it has purchased a U.S. firm specializing in the technology. Sanofi will buy Translate Bio, which it has been working to develop an mRNA COVID jab for $3.2 billion. The company said this in a statement. Sanofi was left trailing in the race to break out a COVID-19 vaccine last year, as rivals Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna used pioneering mRNA technology to develop jabs in record time. In late June, it said it would invest 2 billion euros in the technology by setting up a center of excellence, employing 400 people at its laboratories in the U.S. city of Cambridge and in the French city of Lyon. Messenger RNA technology works by providing human cells with the genetic instructions to make a surface protein of the coronavirus, which trains the immune system to recognize the real virus. Making a traditional vaccine is a longer process that normally involves developing a weakened form of a pathogen.
Many San Francisco bars and restaurants have begun asking customers to provide proof of full vaccination or a negative COVID-19 test result before entering the premises. This comes after the city's Bar Owner Alliance decided to mark July 29th as the kickoff date for the voluntary policy recommended after the recent spike in coronavirus cases.
These folks have your vaccination card or online. That's a beautiful thing. And can I just see your ID also?
Hello, everybody. How are you? Are you all prepared and everything?
I think I love you. I think I love you.
We just reopened a little over a month ago, and we don't want to have to close again or reduce capacity. We're just now finding our footing after being able to reopen. So we want to make sure that we're able to stay open.
The last couple of days, folks have asked about it and have been very supportive of it. I received one prank call yesterday because somebody screaming at me on the phone about doing it, but for the most part, it's been positive.
And the news continues. You're on Eagle News. CJ and I will be back right after this break.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights, sharpen your instincts for smart decision making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
Hey there,
Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net 25.
Nesty Petesio formally took the silver medal in the women's featherweight boxing event of the Tokyo Olympics after bowing to Japan's Sena Eri in the championship match today at the Kokugikan Arena. Despite Petesio's gallant stand, especially in round 2, Eri took the gold by a unanimous decision. Petesio opted to size up her opponent in round 1, but with Eri landing good jabs. Throughout the round, all the 5 judges gave it to her. Petesio delivered in round 2, tagging Eri with solid strikes, enough to get the nod from 4 judges, namely Alejandro Barrientos, Maria Kavalevliva, Mohamed Besmi, and Bakichan Bekpenbedov. Only Judge Manuel Villarino found Petesio's aggression not enough and still gave round 2 to Eri. Both boxers went at it in the final round, but with fatigue coming their way, it was reduced to a flinching game. Only Villarino had 30-27, while the other 4 judges had it 29-28 for Eri, who became the inaugural champion of the division. Petesio's silver was the first for Philippine boxing in the Olympics since Mansueto Onyok Velasco clinched the same color of a medal at the Atlanta 1996 edition.
Meanwhile, Carlo Paalam guaranteed another bronze medal for the Philippines after winning on points by split decision, defeating reigning champion Shakobidin Zoirov of Uzbekistan in the flyweight division of the Summer Olympic Games at the Kokugikan Arena today. Told by the coaching staff to put the pressure on the Uzbek early, Paalam obliged, catching the 2016 Rio Olympics champion with several combinations before darting away to safety. The result was an emphatic first-round score of 5-0, which Paalam may have maintained in the second round before a nasty clash of heads with 1 minute 44 left, forced Ukrainian referee Pablo Vasilinchuk to halt play to have the 2 fighters checked by the ring physician. With both fighters deemed unfit to continue because of the slight gash in their heads, the fight was halted and awarded to Paalam, who was ahead on points at the time of stoppage 2019 on 4 judges and a tied 19-19 score in the 5th official for a 4-0 win. He also thanked his coaches, the Association of Boxing Alliances in the Philippines, or ABAP, and the Philippine Sports Commission, or PSC, for the trust and confidence given to him to represent the country.
And Simone Biles made her long-awaited return to the Olympic Games today, taking bronze in the beam final, won by Chinese teenager Guan Chen at the Ariake Gymnastics Center. Wiping her brow, she approached the beam, chalked up, and finally got the wheels back on her derailed Olympic campaign. While avoiding any twists incorporated in her favored and most difficult moves, she put in a solid performance, ending with a double backward somersault, double pike dismount. Her face breaking into a broad grin, she waved and hugged rivals and team officials, the relief of having performed clear on her face. Her routine earned the triple world champion on the apparatus 14.000 points. She was lying second behind Tang Shicheng until 16-year-old Guan, the last of the 8 finalists to go, put in a superb display to take gold with 14.633 points, relegating Biles to bronze, the same color she won in Rio.
And the United States kept their basketball gold medal dreams on track by sweeping past the world champions Spain 95-81 and into the semifinals, while Olympic debutant Slovenia crushed Germany to set up a last 4 clash with France. Sharp-shooting Brooklyn Nets star Kevin Durant poured in 29 points and 4 assists for the Americans, while Boston's Jason Tatum chipped in 13, nullifying Ricky Rubio's dazzling 38 points free for Spain. The three-time defending champions will face either a Patty Mills-led Australia or dangerous fourth-ranked Argentina to decide who plays the final on Saturday.
And after decades of campaigning, karate finally made its way onto the Olympic stage this summer as one of 4 new sports. And young karate fighters in Japan want the world to see it. But it will not make an appearance in the upcoming 2024 Paris Games, meaning it only has one shot to make an impact. Take a look.
空手がオリンピック種目になってやっぱり空手の文化とか歴史とかをいろんな人に分かってもらえたり空手のいいところをいっぱいいろんな人に分かってもらえると思うのでそこはやっぱり嬉しいなと思います。
護身として自分を身を守るため精神を鍛える、それがだんだん精神、自分の心と体を鍛える、その後から子供、小さな子に移ってきて礼儀も覚える、体も鍛える、心も鍛える、そういうものに移り変わってきたと思います。
今生活の一部といったようにですね、例えば電話してる時に片足立ちやったりとか、台所で包丁やってる時に毛羽立ちでやったりとかですね、そういうのを自然に取り入れてますので、道着を着る時だけが稽古ではないと。
Now, one of the greatest joys of traveling is the memories that you keep. EBC's Malu Francisco takes us to some of the places she has been in the past years.
In this age of COVID-19 pandemic, countries are implementing different measures to protect their citizens against the disease. Gatherings and events are canceled. Many places of work, recreation, education, and cultural events are closed. We're advised to stay home. Just go out only when necessary. Places still open are those serving the essential needs of the public: hospitals, food businesses, utilities, transportation, and the like. Because of COVID-19, many people have put their travel plans on hold. The motto seems to be, save lives, stay at home. I myself have canceled my own travel plans. But I guess we can still travel, and that is travel back in time. Let's use our old pictures and videos and even souvenirs we brought home. I'm Marilu Francisco inviting you to along with me on Travel Memories. Together, let's relive the joy of discovering places, meeting people, getting to know their cultures, and tasting their foods. First destination? The place that has been my home for many years, the Netherlands. The Netherlands is a tiny country in northwestern Europe, bordered by Germany and Belgium, and has a population of over 17 million as of 2020. On the western side, the Netherlands faces the North Sea, which threatens the country with floods. The official name of the Netherlands is Kingdom of the Netherlands. One kingdom, 4 countries. The Netherlands and the Caribbean countries of Aruba, Curacao, and Saint Martin. The name Netherlands means low and flat countries, so low that a big part of the land is below sea level. And this has been a huge challenge to the Dutch since the Middle Ages. As time goes by, the Dutch have learned to live harmoniously with their enemy number one. Problem-solution oriented as they are, the Dutch develop an excellent water management system to keep their feet dry. They've been able to reclaim land from the sea, and that's why the land area of the country changes depending on how much land has been reclaimed from the sea. Wait a minute. What about the name Holland? Where did it come from? Actually, Holland is the name of 2 provinces of the Netherlands, the North Holland and South Holland. Let's talk more about these 2 provinces. The North Holland is where you find the capital city of Amsterdam and the Schiphol International Airport. A warm welcome from the world-famous Dutch icons, the tulips, the cheese, the klompen, or the wooden shoes. Meanwhile, South Holland is the seat of government. The Netherlands is a republic with constitutional monarchy. The reigning monarch is King Willem-Alexander, and his work palace is, of course, in The Hague. Here, the parliament, the prime minister's office, foreign embassies, and some international organizations like the International Court of Justice. South Holland is also home to the largest seaport of Europe and buildings with unique architectural designs. There's a lot to discover and talk about as we look back on our troubled times before COVID-19. Join me again on Travel Memories as we relive the joy of seeing places, meeting people, and getting to know their cultures, and even tasting their foods. In the Netherlands, I'm Marilu Francisco. We live in interesting times.
I want to travel with her.
That's true.
Okay,
we'll have more of Malu's travel memories tomorrow.
Looking forward to that.
Yes.
And that's it for tonight's broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I am CJ Hero. Please join us again tomorrow.
And at the end of the day, there remains so much more to be grateful for. We'll see you back tomorrow. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.
This program is supported by Bank of Commerce an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation. We think customers.
Ito ang ating himig.
Ang OPM. Ito ang himig ng lahi.